Alright YouTube, we are back with the M1A grouping. This is part 2 where we use iron sights. These iron sights are a standard rear sight aperture with 1 minute elevation and windage, and a national match front sight which is about 8 minutes of angle wide. Same ammo as the last time. I want to say that when we shot the first two ammo groups, which was Hornady Black and Norma USA, I was using some substandard iPro, and I think that opened my groups up just a little bit, because after I take this iPro off, the second group with the second ammo was substantially smaller. And then from there we kind of keep an average that's below 2 minutes of angle. But moving on to the ammo. Hornady Black had 2.28 and 2.12 minute of angle groups. Norma USA had 2.25 and 1.43 minute of angle groups. After that first group with the Norma USA is where I took off my iPro, and you'll see the group is about 0.8 smaller. American Eagle M1A ammo came in at 2.14 minute of angle and 2.22 minute of angle. The older Federal Gold Medal match came in at 1.87 and 1.7 minutes of angle. The new Federal Gold came in at 1.75 minutes of angle and 1.55 minutes of angle. And Hornady match came in at 1.58 and 2.04 minutes of angle. From today's shooting, Norma USA once again has the highest muzzle velocity at 2,664 feet per second, and Federal Gold's older boxed ammo had the best extreme spread and standard deviation with 30 and 9. When you look at these groups, you may notice that some of them are not perfectly centered. That's because I was zeroing the iron sights as I did these groups. Normally with windage, you would use the rear sight windage, but I decided to try and float the front sight left or right on its mount to get my no wind zero, which took me a few tries, but I got it centered. And that gives me perfect windage left or right on the rear sight for my no wind zero, keeping my rear sight perfectly centered. After I shot the groups, I went on to shoot some targets out at distance. We had 5 yard lines going from 200 out to 600. We shot 3 rounds at each steel target at those distances, and with the remaining 5, I went back to shoot any targets that I missed. First target's at 200 yards. This is a 16-inch plate, which is 8 minutes of angle at 200 yards, so it is exactly the width of my front sight. All 3 rounds here are hits. The steel plate at 300 yards is also 16 inches wide. This is about 2/3 the width of my front sight, or about 6 minutes of angle. All 3 rounds here are hits. 400 yards, the 16-inch plate is now half the width of my front sight. First round I missed to the left, however I thought I was high, so I came down 2 minutes of angle. The second miss, I can see that I'm low, so I came back up to my normal elevation and just adjusted for the windage. And I get one hit at 400 yards. At 500 yards, we shoot a 23-inch circle. This is about half the width of my front sight post. The first 2 rounds are impacts. Last round is a miss. The last target at 600 yards is 18 inches wide and 24 inches tall, which is under half the width of my front sight. However, this box is easier to cut in half horizontally with my front sight. And we get 3 hits. So now that I shot 3 rounds at each yard line, I had 5 rounds left over. I decided to go back to 400 and try to get the 2 hits that I didn't get the first time. Once again, I miss off to the left. Adjust the windage here. 1 minute of angle inward to the right. Get 2 more hits. Back at 500 yards, I shoot 1 more round to get the hit that I missed on the last try. And since I had 1 round remaining, I went back to 600 yards and decided to shoot a crooked echo silhouette, which is 20 inches wide and 40 inches tall for a hit. The ammo that I shot for the long-range shooting was the older boxed Federal Gold Medal match. The range had it on hand, so I decided to buy another box. With an average muzzle velocity of 25-81 feet per second, an extreme spread of 30, and a standard deviation of 9. That concludes our video on M1A grouping. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time I shoot this gun will be across the course, which is 200, 300, and 600 yards. And we may post some video of that.